Get away with this, okay? Thank you so much!
Yes, Raiden, хорошо. That's one less death today. Now, on with the mission.
Ooh, nice work, buddy. In the nick of time, huh?
Raiden, did you...
Yeah. Good thing I got here when I did.
I'm, impressed, Raiden.
Thanks. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Huh? Oh, right. The mission.
Quick question, Doc.
Yes, Raiden.
Doc, those kids, how are they feeling?
Hmm? Oh, after the chloroform, you mean? No need to be concerned. Thanks to your quick actions, the effects have already dissipated.
Oh, good to hear. Why the hell were they using chloroform? I thought they stopped using it as an anesthetic ages ago.
Correct. Sevoflurane or isoflurane are the preferred inhalation anesthetics today. However, chloroform is still quite useful as an organic solvent. In certain doses, mind you. Otherwise, as that cretin mentioned, it can be a bit dangerous.
It certainly turned out dangerous for him.
Yes. In any case, its properties make it useful for an assortment of applications. The chemical synthesis of medication, for example, or creating the coolant used in modern cryopreservers.
Fascinating.
Indeed. Well, Raiden, wonderful work. Had you waited any longer before breaking the glass, things might not have turned out as well as they did.
I am setting goal markers on your soul. Use them. I will ignore the...
Raiden, are you fully versed in the features of your AR display? It can serve many functions, you know.
Do I hear un lecture coming on?
A lecture? No, of course not. I'm hardly an expert. Of course, I know the first practical application of the technology was for aircraft HUDs. Then head-mounted displays, HMDs. The data could be seen even as the viewer moved their head. As the technology improved, it was integrated into retinal imaging, contact lenses. Soon it became standard issue not just for pilots, but infantry soldiers as well. Of course, with cyborgs such as yourself, the data can be fed directly to the optic nerve.
No lecture, huh? Anyway, there's more to my augmented reality than just upgraded HMD tech.
Of course there is, Dummkopf. You did not let me finish.
Oh, you weren't finished?
AR is a much broader concept. It is more a design concept than a particular imaging methodology. It encompasses HUDs, HMDs, any and all manner of visual real-time data overlay. Though recently, some reserve the AR label for virtual objects the subject can both see and touch. For example, your codec menu and zoom slider. Such objects do not exist anywhere in the real world, not even as images. They are fed directly to your optic nerve, so only you can see them. Yet, when you interact with them, sensory feedback is delivered to the nerves in your fingers. It gives you the sense of touching a thing that does not exist.
Beats lugging around a sat radio and giant scope, that's for sure.
There is another school of thought on precisely what constitutes AR.
Seriously, more of this?
It defines AR as anything which obscures the boundary between reality and that experienced by the viewer.
Well, how would that be different from VR?
Well, for example, let's say that you and I are having a nice chat face to face. Suddenly, I disappear. Poof! And in my place appears a ravishing, nubile young woman. Is the girl the projected image or the reality? Perhaps I was the AR. How would you know?
The accent might be a clue.
Such things can be controlled with a simple hack of your auditory nerves.
Well, that's comforting. So how is this different from VR again?
Well, it is, I suppose, strictly speaking, it is rather similar. Both are a method for completely fooling the senses rather than simply augmenting them. Although, technically it would be MR, mixed reality, since there are some real elements involved. Yes, of course, that would be the distinction and the correct term. In any case, the advance of MR technology leads to many interesting philosophical questions. What happens when appearances cease to have meaning? It is no longer see it to believe it, after all. It could make for a great advance in cyborg acceptance, you know? They could project a perfectly normal human body to be seen by anyone who can perceive MR.
I don't know. Sounds like it might cause more problems than it'd solve to me.
Raiden, can I ask you something?
Sure. What is it?
Just wondering, why'd you join Maverick in the first place?
Well, Boris and I go way back. Our first time working together was rescuing Sunny. That's Colonel Gerlukovich's granddaughter. He and Boris were good friends back in the USSR.
Right. The Patriots were holding her?
Yeah. I was mainly working with the PLA, but Boris was a huge help. His Russian military connections paid off big time. All his covert op experience, too. He wasn't working pro bono, of course, but he went above and beyond the call. The Patriots were a threat to everyone, not just America. He got that.
And when Paradise Lost disbanded, he formed a new outfit and got them all work.
Most of them, anyway, including me.
Did you ever consider another line of work? Something non-military, I mean?
I'm a cyborg, Courtney. What am I gonna do? Drive an ice cream truck? I can pass as normal from a distance, but up close, anyone can tell it's artificial skin. Good jobs aren't easy to come by these days, even for non-cyborgs, and I've got a family to feed. Besides, I've been fighting my whole life. It's just who I am.
Sorry, I didn't mean to pry.
It's fine, Courtney. No worries.
You cannot proceed any further via the rooftops. There is a freight railroad underground. The elevator ahead will take you to it.
Whoa, the elevator's offline.
Surely you realize how to proceed. You are familiar with Newton's law of universal gravitation? Count the wire, and the car will fall.
This must be the railroad.
It would appear so. Likely part of Denver's old system. This city was a major transport hub in the early years of freight trains. This particular line appears to have been abandoned some time ago. It was originally constructed to transport supplies to an underground factory. But now, it seems even the electrical system is no longer functioning.
Yeah, it's pitch black in here.
As a cyborg, I trust this is not a serious concern.
So now what? I can't see a thing.
You are a cyborg, are you not? You possess low light and infrared viewing ability.
Right. Time for enhanced AR. How's it going with the brain units, Doc? Any problems?
Oh, they could not be better. They're being kept at exactly 36 degrees Celsius with a steady, uninterrupted supply of oxygen and glucose. Synchronizing them with our equipment posed some difficulty, but everything's perfectly stable now.
That's good to hear. What kind of VR are they getting?
I've prepared very comfortable rooms for each and every one. It's not quite Schloss Neuschwanstein, but each one enjoys the equivalent of a 4-star hotel suite. Every room includes an attached pool and an extensive library of on-demand video programming. 3 meals are delivered daily, and while we're only able to do so much vis-a-vis taste sensation, it should satisfy the psychological need for food, at least.
Doesn't sound too bad. I wouldn't mind a little VR training like that for a change.
Oh, be my guest. I'd like to experience it for myself, you know. But for now, it is available to cyborgs only. Exciting work is being done in the realm of invasive brain-machine interfaces. But there simply isn't much demand for it at the moment.
I guess not too many folks are willing to stick electrodes in their brains just for a taste of VR.
Perhaps, but the sense of reality is considerably improved over nanomachine-based non-invasive methods. If prices were kept low enough, I imagine the video game industry at least would clamor for it.
Who coded the virtual hotel?
An assistant. He used to write VR programs for UGs, but now specializes in cyborg software. A bit of a niche right now, yes, but when brain-machine interfaces take off, it will be a big business. The children's accommodation is a reworked version of the original beta software he built. The room's 3D models are all made using free libraries. It couldn't have been easier.
I wish everyone loved their work as much as you do, Doc. They don't go stir-crazy, though? Cooped up in their rooms?
There's little I can do about that. Creating an open world would take orders of magnitude more resources.
What about communication?
Another weak spot, yes. The NPCs available to us are all for military training purposes. It will be some time until we see VR characters capable of convincingly human interaction. Sadly, we're also not yet able to connect multiple brains to a single VR space. My assistants are operating virtual agents to give them a bare minimum of mental care. But our team is limited in size, and none of us are medical professionals, you know.
They can't stay in there forever. Boris, you got anything for me? What do I mean?
Well, we have,
That's a...
but he's taking... Why not try?
Right, how's the mechs? No headaches or anything?
No, why do you ask?
You're in a high altitude zone, remember?
Oh, right. The Mile High City. Didn't think I'd have to worry about altitude sickness yet, though. You're checking my stats, right? Oxygen density's only 10% off normal. Body's still in the green.
Yeah, I'm watching. Just remember, it's definitely gonna feel a little different from sea level.
Copy. You know, I didn't realize how big Denver's gotten. It was never exactly small, I know, but it looks like it's really blown up these past few years.
It's a good place to live. The tech sector's booming, people are moving in, and unemployment's low too.
I always figured Colorado's more about military than anything else.
Originally, yeah. Denver, like Colorado in general, is filled with federal agencies and defense contractors.
And NORAD and Peterson Air Force Base are just a short drive away, right? Over in Colorado Springs.
And then there's all the nuclear facilities too.
Right. I remember hearing about the Rocky Flats plant.
Yeah, they manufactured the plutonium triggers that detonate nuclear bombs. It was shut down late last century for illegal pollution offenses. Of course, there's still a ton of military manufacturing activity going on in Colorado.
PMCs too, right?
Yep. PMCs like World Marshal. They've been on a buying frenzy, gobbling up a whole bunch of smaller outfits. That growth is what's enabled them to expand into the public sector. Their work in private policing has really boosted their profile.
I'm not necessarily against small government, but when you mix the public authority with private firms...
It never works out, yeah. This is probably obvious, but this police force is basically a full-on army. Don't go easy on them.
Don't intend to.
They still have not noticed you. Do not expose yourself.
There's a maintenance shaft up ahead. Use it to return to the surface. It would appear your only way forward is to return to the surface. You will exit into an evacuated commercial district. Security is heavy, but you need not worry about collateral damage when engaging the enemy.
About time. Finally, I can cut loose.
Proceed to the right from the exit. You will find a stairway on your right. Those stairs lead to a shortcut to World Marshal Headquarters. Do not be distracted by the advertisements. You are not here as a tourist.
Sure. I'll just buy a quick souvenir or two for Rose and that'll be it.
Raiden, we must hurry.
Remind me to teach you about sarcasm sometime.
I understand your attempts at humor. I simply do not find them entertaining.
Boris, you got anything? What do I...
We have, but he's taking... Why not that?
Kev, you dig up anything more on Jetstream Sam?
Yeah, actually a bit. Still a lot of missing pieces.
I'll take what I can.
Right. Full name Samuel Rodrigues. Born in Brazil, so I guess that'd be more like Samuel Rodrigues. He's actually not one of the Winds of Destruction. He's not even a Desperado employee.
Yeah. Didn't seem like your typical PMC to me.
His father ran a Brazilian Kenjutsu dojo.
Genjutsu. That's a school of Japanese swordplay.
Mm-hmm. A lot of Japanese immigrated to Brazil way back when. They brought martial arts with them. Those evolved and became their own offshoots. You've heard of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? It's their variation on Judo. Brazilian Kenjutsu's the same kind of thing. A different evolution of the old samurai sword skills. Bit of capoeira and some other stuff mixed in. Anyway, I did some digging. Apparently, the Rodrigues dojo was a big proponent of the Uridachi style.
Uridachi. A.K.A. Setsujinken, the murdering sword. Basically the polar opposite of my sword of justice.
Rodrigues Kenjutsu uses kicks, sword butts, even throws. Unpredictable and very deadly. Anyway, this is interesting. Sam's father was killed by one of his pupils. There were rumors one of the cartels was involved, but it's not clear how or why. And after that, Sam disappears for a while, then comes back, kills the guy who killed his dad, and leaves Brazil. He travels the world for a while, taking odd jobs, bodyguard, cleaner for the mob, etc., etc. Made a big name for himself in the criminal underworld, especially in Central and South America. One story has Sam taking out a mafia hit squad, 10 men, all with assault rifles, using only his sword.
Not unheard of for a cyborg.
This was back in the early 2000s.
Come on. He did that without enhancements? And pre-SOP?
That's the story anyway. And he's a cyborg now, so he could only be stronger. Not to freak you out or anything.
I told you, Kev. I got a reading on his fighting style from last time, and my body's been upgraded. I'll be fine.
Yeah. Oh. I know you will be.
So there's one more of the winds, right? Besides Sundowner and Mistral.
Yeah. Monsoon. That is,
You can skip the part about the name. I know monsoons are seasonal winds in Asia.
The word actually refers to seasonal winds anywhere, but yeah, It's usually used to describe the winds that bring Southeast Asia most of its rain.
Safe to assume he's Asian then, right?
Yep. His roots are with a Cambodian organized crime syndicate. Not ex-military for a change. He's fluent in Khmer, Chinese, and English. Rumored to have been involved in drug and human trafficking.
So what's he doing with a PMC?
Apparently, he converted to a cyborg body after being wounded in a gang shootout. I don't know the full story, though. Maybe he just decided PMC works better than the mob. The two worlds are closer than you might think. Boris has got a lot of ex-military buds that now work for the Russian mafia.
I guess either profession guarantees plenty of excitement if that's your thing.
Monsoon's no ordinary street thug, though. That much is clear from his record. And he was a master with the Psy even before he became a cyborg.
I think he's in Denver?
Probably, given that Desperado and World Marshal are basically one and the same. Careful down there.
Hey Kev, you have anything on that sword Sam was using? Didn't seem like your garden variety high-frequency blade.
It's not. It's a samurai sword. The real deal. 16th century make, handed down in his family ever since. Sam had it recast as a high-frequency blade. Doesn't say by who.
Is this something I need to worry about?
Maybe. You know the basics of sword making, right? The harder the metal, the better it cuts, but also the more brittle it is. So a sword's gotta be sturdy, but also just pliable enough to absorb shock without breaking. Walking that line, striking that balance, that's what makes sword crafting an art. Japanese swords fuse different types of iron, each with different amounts of carbon. Different levels of flexibility, in other words, so the blade can be tough and razor sharp.
And that gets multiplied when the sword gets the HF treatment?
Yeah. Basically, the high-frequency upgrade sets the blade vibrating really, really fast, right? That vibration acts on the electron shells of atoms in the sword and the local electromagnetic field. When the EMF achieves resonance, the blade's bonding is strengthened. At a quantum level, it's like the entire sword is made up of the exact same particle type. It also disrupts any atoms it comes into contact with. Say, those that make up the target. Their electron clouds shrink from exposure to quantum decoherence at the Planck scale. In other words, it electrically severs the bonds that keep the target's atoms together.
You lost me around the EMF part.
And that's the dumbed down explanation. To be honest, even I don't understand all the details. Point is, an HF upgrade is like an amplifier. It multiplies what's already there. So Sam's badass blade might give him the edge. I mean, you know what I mean.
The original sword was really that good?
Sounds like it. Says here it's a Murasama blade.
Murasama. Sounds familiar.
One of the top 10 best-known sword makers worldwide, easy. In Japan, he is legendary. They say his swords thirst for blood, that they choose who will wield them, you know, that sort of thing.
Ooh, now I really am scared.
I know, right? You okay, buddy? Looks like Wolf's posted some guidance data to your Soliton radar. Try following those markers.
So, Courtney, you've heard my story. What about you? How'd you end up at Maverick?
Me? Well, it's funny. I was a business major, actually. Thought I'd go for an MBA. When I was in school, there was a lot of talk about the widening gap between rich and poor. I figured I'd join the 1% and never have to worry about money again. Pretty noble, huh? Anyway, around then you started hearing all about this war economy stuff on the news. I was, I don't know, disgusted, I guess. Disillusioned, for sure.
And that changed your mind?
It wasn't just the war stuff that bothered me. It's everything it represented. How so much of what the first world enjoys comes at the expense of third world people. The more I researched, the more I realized how bad things are. Underreported, too. After that, money wasn't such a priority anymore. I know how trite that sounds, but it's true. I wasn't naive, though. I knew living in some hippie commune or going Amish wouldn't change anything. So I started looking for a career where I felt I might actually have an impact.
You didn't worry about working at a PMC? Becoming part of the problem?
Well, I wasn't going to sign up with just anybody. But not all PMCs are bad, you know? Some of them, sure. They'll do anything for a buck, no questions asked. That's why someone has to stand up to them. Protect the innocent from those guys.
That's us in a nutshell. So you did your homework and found Maverick.
Honestly, it was more dumb luck than anything else. I had a friend who knew I was interested in this kind of work who was also friends with Kevin. They introduced us, we set up a meeting, and here I am.
That's right. I always forget you and Kev went to the same school. Huh. Definitely not your typical path to joining a PMC, that's for sure.
I really am here to fix the world. I know it's a cliche, but there it is.
Well, I for one am glad to hear it. So how's it been since you joined Maverick, Courtney? About what you expected?
Not even close. I had no idea what I was signing up for. You deal in a lot of expensive weapons and equipment that can save people's lives. But at the same time, you can't just ignore the bottom line. You catch yourself measuring lives in dollars and cents.
Yeah, the business side can get pretty messy.
Messy is right. But I won't just ignore it. I can't make informed decisions without confronting the ugly realities.
Not an easy burden to bear, Courtney.
Well, if it ever gets to be too much, I'll reconsider. But for now, I'm fine. I can handle it. What's up? No? Did you need anything else?
No, guess not. Just wanted to hear the sound of your voice.
Oh, save it for your wife, Raiden.
So, Doc, what are we gonna do with those brains?
Well, I appreciate the bountiful data we've gleaned from them so far. But they're certainly draining a great deal of my lab's resources. If not for the costs, we'd gladly host them well into the future.
Don't think I can cover that. I'm unemployed now, remember? Besides, it wouldn't be healthy for the kids.
It's certainly more healthy than a hard-scrabble life in a disease-ridden alley.
Well, if you put it like that, yeah. But they can't even engage in real human interaction. They're facing an entire life spent in a virtual room. It's not right.
Well, we could expand their VR quarters and add more human communication. Would that work?
You're missing the point, Doc.
I spoke in jest. In fact, we've already begun researching a prototype child body. But you must realize our lab cannot provide these bodies free of charge.
Yeah.
And once in physical bodies, the question then becomes how they will live after that.
All right, let's pick this up later. I gotta worry about the brains at World Marshal for now.
Yes. Worry about getting that data first.